All right, so the next thing we're going to do, once we've saved out a SketchUp version of our file on our downloads folder right there, um, next thing we're going to do is we're going to bring it into a program I like called Twinmotion. It's owned by Unreal, so for those of you who have a Epic Games account, you can just open up the Epic Games launcher and usually you'll see, Unreal Engine, all that kind of stuff. I'm not opening up Unreal, but I'm gonna go over here to Twinmotion, and they have a trial version. They also have a Twinmotion Community Edition, and they also have a educational license version. You can download either Community Edition or the educational license if you want to continually use it. It just limits you on how high res you can export your files, and also for, if you're using it commercial, to make money or not. At this stage, this is for your portfolio and this is for learning, so you can just work off of these and you should be fine. So yeah, you'll need to install those. I've already installed it, so I'm just gonna open up this community edition here and just gonna launch it right now. It takes a little bit depending on your computer speed and all that, but Twinmotion's opening. And it's a wonderful program. It's real-time rendering, same as Unreal. For those who have Blender, you already know the joys of that as well. So first thing, it kind of starts you off with this geometry. You don't need it, so I'm just gonna hide it right there, starting base. I'm just gonna hide it. And then I'm just gonna import here. Click plus right there. Geometry. I'm just going to open a file. I'm going to open the SketchUp file. So that's the cool thing about Twinmotion is they've got this thing with SketchUp and they kind of work directly with them for stuff. So over here on the collapse, I have it as keep hierarchy and then all this kind of settings right here and hit import and immediately you're gonna see, oh yeah, my SketchUp file is in here, as well as this dude, whatever he is. Um, so I'm just gonna select that folder, the Space Rifle SKP. I just want to put them on the ground right there. So I've got a general scale, and I can hide that character. Believe his name is Ty. You can just hide him, you know. And in general, here you got movement speed. So when you go to this eyeball, you got this like speedometer here. Right now it's at bicycle speed. You want it at walking speed. And now I can kind of move around and take a look. Yeah, I mean, for the amount of work we put into it, it's not bad. There's some artifacting of like streaky textures and stuff, but overall the geometry is pretty good. And overall, like the rendering quality is pretty good too, obviously we've got some, parts here that are faceted and low poly and you may want to alter that later, but here, from this, we can actually get some pretty decent renders out of our rifle, right? Whether it be from this angle or whatnot. And that's the cool thing too about Twinmotion is you go up here to ambience and you can change things from the environment like time of day. You can change it to be night. You can change it to be afternoon. There's a lot of cool things that you can control here. You can even change how intense the sun is and moon is, um, exposure. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. You can change the weather, for goodness sakes. Like I can make it rain. and I can make it winter time as well. It's in the snow, and it's gonna cover the top of this gun with some snow, you know. Um, but yeah, there's a lot we can do. Um, Let me see here. And you can also change where north is. That way I can actually change the sun direction pretty easily without changing the time of day as well, right? And so you just kind of want to get it to a point where it's like, oh, that looks like a pretty good way to light it or something, right? The other cool thing here is camera. So camera, you can change your field of view. So this is like flat and this is like really wide angle. So this will get you like fisheye lens. And then if you pull in close, this will give you closer to orthographic view, right? So, usually this kind of view is easier to design off of and, because it's not so crazy. And at the same time, it keeps a little bit of perspective still. So, so generally people like working off of a view similar to this. But yeah, like we were like, oh yeah, there's the 3/4 and all the other turnaround views. Well, now I can kind of derive those other views from this, right? I can, after kind of modeling off of that side view, save some time. But you gotta have some knowledge as far as like what's a cylinder and what's a boxy part and where do you want it to change up on the thickness and all that kind of stuff, right? So here we go. Here's like a 3/4 view. If I go down here, see, I've got my import thing right here. That's how I brought the stuff in. If I go down here to media, I can hit plus, and that'll take a screenshot of this angle, right? And then I can move my camera again and go like, oh, I want like a more straight on angle. We can do that as well, or we can have a little bit of a perspective from, if somebody goes, oh, I want to see this thing from 3/4 back, what does that kind of look like? Obviously when we get to the painting part, I think we're gonna have to fix some of this stuff right here on the handle here. It's got to round out a little bit, so, but from here we can do this. Another really cool thing in terms of like modeling it out that'll save you some time is a lot of times developers also want to see what the weapon's going to look like from a player point of view, right? So when you're running around in the game, it's like, I'm bobbing up and down and I've got my camera in first person POV, for example. What's that gonna look like? And so in general, it's kind of like this, and then you've got your perspective kind of going to a cursor somewhere middle of your screen. So that's also a good point of view to take a reference shot of right there. And if you wanted to, you can actually bring in some characters, which is kind of fun. You've got animated humans. You could choose from any one of these kind of, I don't know, uncanny valley looking people. I don't know. Let's pick a shady looking character that we might be shooting. Johan seems kind of like he may be up to no good, so I'm just gonna drag Johan into our scene here. And how fast is this? This is wild, right? So I'm just selecting Johan here. I'm just gonna rotate him, so and you could change different types of poses. Like he's got special poses he can do. He's walking. He's oh, what's he doing there? He's got a camera. Yeah. All right. Well, Johan. Yeah. Kind of looks like a gun. I don't know. Okay. So something like this might be a good good, render to do so that we get a general idea as to, you know, what this might look like within a game view, right? So I'm just gonna update my last shot there. And yeah, so that's what 3D buys us. It allows us to kind of, you know, move around our object a little bit more and really get to feel out that the thickness of it, you know. This might still be a little bit weird and too thick, and obviously we'll have to fix some of the textures there when you go to render it. But overall, this this is pretty successful as far as just bringing it into a real-time rendering program and being able to see this thing kind of rendered out with a cool little character there. And if we wanted to, we could have, done full texture thing, but I just didn't want to spend too much time there. So, okay, so now I've got these 3 shots rendered out, and you could do more, I mean, it's as fast as clicking that. But you come down here to export, right? So export, you go to image, you get to plus. Whoa, what was that? I want to export as JPEGs, yeah, and I want to pick all 3 of these, right? Boop, boop, boop. And then now it's going to render out those 3 images. It'll even render out, animations if you wanted to, videos and such. But for our purposes, because we're dealing with concept art, we're going to render it out like this. I think maybe we need a 4th shot now that I think about it. Let's go back to media. Here, let's get another shot where we're just shooting it maybe sideways. This is very similar to what our SketchUp was, but now at least it kind of, it's all well lit and such. Right, so something like this shot may be pretty good to do. So we just hit plus. There. So there's our other render. So now when we go back to export, I'm going to choose that 4th shot as well. Yep, 4 shots. Start export as JPEGs, and then I'm gonna click it, and then where do you want to put that? I'll put it in my downloads folder, select folder, and now it's exporting. And this should go pretty fast, It's like, it starts off telling you it's like how many minutes, and you can see the counter reduce as it goes. So what may have been, oh sorry, my water bottle. What may have been like 6 minutes at the start ends up becoming maybe 30 seconds. And so as it's doing that, I've still got Photoshop somewhere in here open, I think. Could open up Photoshop. I'm really taxing my system. I can hear the fans, but yeah, I mean, how cool is that though, right? You can kind of almost fake the idea of creating like a test map or some sort, and get something that's a little bit more than oh yeah, I think it's done. Yep. All right, so as this finished up, the last thing we need to do is to save out this file so that we can come back later and like let me see, where do I want to save it out? I'm just going to save it under color and light and just call it rifle 01. Bum, 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 save, and that'll be my Twinmotion file. And the system got warm just from that. It's pretty taxing. Um, yeah, we may not all have a good enough system to be able to run this either. So yeah, but yeah, this is nice 3D renders. Kick this out to. I'm just gonna close my Epic Games launcher because I think that taxes some of it too. All right, so let's bring these renders into Photoshop now. Boom. And yeah, it's got this little community edition watermark, and you're limited as to how high res you can make these renders. But but I don't know. Overall, they're pretty cool. You know, I was able to out of one of these things kick out kick out some screenshots. So let's see. Okay, so Control A, Control uh, C, Control N, and then I'm just gonna make a new file with these in here. I'm just gonna make it a gray background instead. I just made it like 4 times as big because thinking. All right, so uh, the next thing that would be kind of good to do once we have these renders out. Well, let's take a look at what it looks like first with all the renders. Because we may do one page that's got sort of like the renders on there as a turnaround kind of situation, and a first person POV situation. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. So that could be one file, but we still need to paint over it and such, I think. Yeah. So this is the temptation too, because everything's so rendered out so nicely. A lot of times you end up going, "Oh, it's done, right?" And it's like, "No, don't you remember? There's certain parts of this that just don't feel right, you know?" So just gonna merge these and then make a new layer. May have to come back and fix some of these bits. It's like, oh man, now I gotta paint again? Yeah, I know. So, what about that, So, I don't know. What's a good brush for this? Just gonna do a soft. And I just kind of wanted to make a kind of a gradient. That, this corner really, the transition of this is really poor. Um, actually, take some of this and round it out a little bit. And, and it's tricky, but just round it, hide. I'm just kind of blending at this point. And I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, so the light is coming from the left, so this back part should be what? A little bit darker, so. But not like crazy dark, not black, but choose like a darker color. And enable this kind of transition. And now I'm just gonna blend. Right. And this middle part here, you know, we'll need to fix too, and that. But there's still some cleanup work that's needed. Um, but it took very with I don't know, an hour's worth of work. We got it pretty good. In terms of like progress goes. It's gonna maybe there's like a middle section here. Make that middle section a little bit more metallic. Right there or something. And just, you know, I just want to get rid of all this streaky nonsense right here. So it's very, make a selection here. That. Just gonna hit this texture. It gets a little darker here, but it gets a little bit lighter as it gets up there. You know, and you just kind of do this until you get rid of all your awful streaky textures. There. And then this part on this top plane, I don't think it would be that bright. It would be closer to this light blue right here. So bring that back. And then maybe this highlight can be our bevel. Let's see. And maybe there's a little bevel here. For sure, all this stuff back here is ugly and wrong. So I'm just gonna, don't want to go with pure black. You just want to like that light bluish color. That. It's funny how much your eye is willing to forgive, right? Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's all done, right? But no, it's not. It's still got all this stuff to paint out. That, and this part gets a little lighter because it's pointing up a little bit more, but it's still kind of dark. And then maybe this bottom part is lighter still. And you gotta also make sure you're kind of painting to the perspective. Paint in a bit of a bevel. That. There's something weird over here going on, I think. And so, probably just gonna darken this section right here. And I remember this part, it's not adhering to whatever that should be. That blue. And then we're gonna draw in our lines again. These are all the elements that we'll be looking at to make sure that everything kind of lines up still. And even here, I mean, there's times here where I can look at this stuff and go like, you know, maybe I'll just cut back in, round this out a little bit more, you know? Maybe that's a little bit too thick, even though that's what I modeled. Just doesn't look that good. So I'm cheating here, obviously. Also over here to this gold, I'd want that to extend. So let's make sure there's a transition there. Soft. That. Cool. I think the other thing what I can do is just make sure that the rifle stands out from the environment a bit better, because currently it's blending in a bit too much. So let's do like an object selection tool. Let's see. Object selection. Let's try this. Yeah. Object selection tool. Saves the day. Alright. So there's a couple of things here where it missed, but it got most of the silhouette. It's pretty good. And like over here, let's fix this part. Grab that part. For the most part, it's kind of there. Okay, so now that our object is selected, we're on a new layer up top. I'm just gonna go into multiply mode, and I'm just gonna pick one of the gray colors here, the warm gray, hide. And again, with the classic gradient tool, I'm just going to see if I can darken it a little bit. So, you know what? I might need to darken the background. Undo, undo. I'm just gonna hit Control-Shift-C, Control-V, and set it on normal. And then on the background, I'm gonna darken that. I think that'll make life easier, actually. Set this on multiply. Yeah, see, now my gun pops without looking like the gun got too dark. Okay, cool. Yeah, just kind of darken the background a little bit. We can still add color to it and such. Bluish. I just wanted to make sure that the gun stands out, right? Cool. And yeah, some of my other things may have gotten ruined in the process. Let's see. Yeah, some of the stuff I painted over, I think got messed up. Ah, dang it. Did I mess it up? Oh, I think I merged it. Accidentally. Okay, so this was my paint over layer. Oh, I needed to do it this way. New layer. Okay, a new layer. Darken the heck out of that. Live and learn. Alright, so the new layer is darkening that. Set that. I'll multiply. Good. Okay, now we got it. And we could just lighten, darken, desaturate all we want. Make the weapon pop. Cool. Like stuff like that, and just clean up some of this. Another cool thing that so once we clean up all these views, right? Um, Another cool thing that a lot of times we want to do, and probably won't have time this week, but definitely should do it by next week. Let me save out this file first, though. Uh, 3D renders. Okay. By next week, so I want you to come in and clean up this stuff. I guess the assignment would be for both of the props, to be modeled out and in 3D. I know that not all the props are like you might have a cylinder for your prop, and that might be harder to do. Definitely will be. In that case, I would just slap on, a generic texture onto it. You might not be able to salvage it right from the concept, but at least you could use the concept as a orthographic view to figure out the proportions and how large to make something. But yeah, come in, clean up this, give me some, 4 views, like maybe an in-game, first person POV. Give me like a 3/4 front, 3/4 back, and nice profile shot. And you can render it in Twinmotion, Unreal, Blender, whatever you like rendering stuff in. It could be Marmoset or V-Ray or whatever programs are out there. And yeah, give me both props 3D rendered and painted over so that it looks nice and presentable for a portfolio. Next week, I think what we're going to do is we're going to create some effects, uh, effects, because that also needs concepting as well. So when this shoots, what kind of bursts are going to come out of it, and also what does it do to the enemy when they get shot, right? So there's that too. Whenever you have a weapon, there's usually multiple steps to it. We may even try out some animation as well on that. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording here, and you know, got to see rendering, got to see paint over. I'm probably gonna paint over the bottom one here and all the other ones. The front views are a little bit easier, I think, but you know, um, side views fine, right? This first person POV definitely got to get rid of these streaky textures right here. Okay. All right. Thanks all. Bye.